On today's episode, we'll be discussing why strength is the number one thing you need to improve your jiu-jitsu. Now, if you're not lifting, you may be missing a huge opportunity to improve your jiu-jitsu, and we are going to explain exactly why. Number two, why running and endurance training is actually hurting your jiu-jitsu, even though this may be the thing that you love and enjoy the most. Number three, what you're missing by not doing strength training, where it will not only help your jiu-jitsu, but help your entire life to help you be a happier, healthier human. And last but not least, how do you get strength training in your life? How can we factor it in with minimal time and make it count so that you're stronger on and off the mat? Let's get started. Oh, and while you're there, do us a favor. Like, subscribe, and follow on any platform that you're absorbing this content. And if it's audio, give us a 5-star rating. Thanks, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. Joe, you may or may not know it, but strength is the number one trait you should train to get better at BJJ. Now, it seems funny that I would have to say this, but there's a lot of folks out there who are doing other stuff that is not strength training in order to improve their BJJ. What are they thinking?
Misguided,
Just
heathens,
they've just been
Gentiles.
they've just
I don't
been
even know what that means.
They've been just
Misinformed.
misled, duped, you might say. I was having a conversation with a fella, and we were talking about the UFC, which felt very, very manly and masculine, talking about Pereira and the fight with Khalil Roundtree, and just going, whoa, that's tough. And then he said, yeah, I've just been getting into Pilates. And I was like, I've just got to go to the bathroom. Bye, see ya. And, look, doing Pilates might be better than not doing Pilates. I couldn't actually tell you because I don't actually do Pilates, even though I have in a previous life tried it in the name of trying to get a girlfriend. But anyway, leave it to the side. Here's the thing. You got limited time. You want to get better at BJJ, and you're struggling to even get enough jiu-jitsu in. Once or twice a week, you might be able to do something else to make your BJJ better. You need to be doing strength training. You should not be messing around doing Pilates. You shouldn't be doing acro aerobics. You shouldn't be doing Nordic walking. It's all bullshit, my friends. And I'm going to give you a very well-formed, reasoned, slightly less emotional take on how that can work for you and why you should do that. Because what I realized, Joe, is I've been listening to a bunch of people on the internet, and they're too reasonable. They're too calm and they're too reasonable. But people are listening to them because they are calm and they are reasonable. And it made me think, maybe I need to be more calm and reasonable for people to listen to me.
Wow.
It's confronting. It's confronting because I just want to be sensational.
I
and
would think that
opinionated.
you are on the precipice of compromising on who you are right now, JT.
I'm riling. I'm really struggling with my need to want to help people and the need to just say whatever the I'm thinking.
I don't know if I'm prepared to see you fall from this great height.
Please catch me, Joe. I'm falling. So let's talk about this, because BJJ is a resistance-based activity. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are like, "Oh, I've started jogging." Stop! Don't do it.
Can you qualify this push against, what do you say, Pilates, aqua aerobics, jogging? Like, why are these no good?
They do not have any real good crossover to other athletic traits. Now, you can train, you can do aerobic endurance training, but it's specific, and that's been shown. Like, if you get really good at running and develop the efficiency at running, you'll be good at that. But if you take an elite level runner and then put them on a bike, even though they might have a really good set of lungs and a heart, their specific adaptations are not there. And so they're going to really struggle to be a great cyclist. They will have to spend time adapting and working at that to be good at that, right? Even though they may be using similar energy systems. the thing that we know about BJJ is the thing that we often complain about. Oh, that guy just used a lot of strength. Like this is a diss, you know, this is a shade thing. Like, oh, they didn't have good technique, they used strength. But the best people use strength and technique. And really, if somebody is that much stronger than you, it is so much harder for you to implement what you're doing. This is universal. We know this. I'm not saying anything controversial here. But what I want to talk about is you doing strength training is actually going to have huge crossover to everything in your life. It's not just, oh, I'm getting better for BJJ. You being stronger is actually going to improve your longevity. You being stronger is going to improve your energy and your efficiency. It's going to improve your bone density. It's basically going to make everything in your life better. Aqua aerobics is not going to do that for you. Triathlon is not going to do that for you. So that's why I want to really make this case that if you've got any time outside of jiu-jitsu, you need to be doing strength training.
Didn't really qualify why Pilates isn't good.
Because there's been numerous studies to show that the specific movements trained in Pilates doesn't transfer to anything but Pilates. It's the same thing as a Swiss ball. You can balance and squat on a Swiss ball all day. It will not actually make you better at doing squats on the ground. It'll make you better at doing squats on a Swiss ball. Strength is specific. I'm skipping ahead here, but that's the thing. We often do stuff which we think translates. It doesn't. So if we're looking at different types of force production, whether you're trying to improve, like you're trying to be maximally strong or you're trying to be explosive, powerful, whatever it might be, the highest order athletic quality, or the hardest one to develop, the one that takes the longest, is maximal strength, 1 RM strength, in whatever movement you choose, whether it's a squat, a deadlift, an Olympic lift. It's the thing that takes the longest, but the really great thing about it is it filters down to the other qualities. So if you're a runner and you get really strong, it will actually improve your running, but it doesn't go the other way. Being a really good runner won't make you really good at squatting.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Tell me more, Mr. Israel.
But I feel full of rage and I want to kill everyone every single day. Tren, woo! I think the thing is this, that we often don't know because we think, oh, my mate, he does ultra marathons. I want to have that level of endurance. Guaranteed, you put your mate under mount, all the ultra marathoning in the world is not going to transfer. But if you have like a really strong upper body, really strong hips, and you're able to literally just push the person off you, that does factor in. You know, here's the thing. We have limited time, so I want to make the most of it. And I think the thing which is clearly accepted in jiu-jitsu, which is strength makes a difference in performance in BJJ, it's been demonized because it's the whole idea of technique over strength. But almost, 90% of the competitive roster in BJJ is on steroids, trying to be as strong as they can.
Yeah.
And we know it's important. So why are we neglecting it? That's what I wanted to say. Like, why are we spending time on these other things?
I mean, I of course I'm with you on this one. I guess there's I'm a moderate guy, JT.
You're trying to give the counterpoint.
There's with training and your life, it is perfectly acceptable to me that someone might be like, yeah, I want to do jiu-jitsu, but I also like the hot chicks at Pilates and I feel like my core's weak because I work at an office desk all day. So I do some Pilates too. But fair, it's not.
But are you doing it to be social or are you doing it to get better at jiu-jitsu?
Well, that's what I mean. Sometimes it's going to be a bit of both, right?
Yeah, but then...
And so in that way, I'm like, there's a case for that.
Prepare to lose.
And I also do have a soft spot for people who are like, I'm just not into gyms. And so, and we've disagreed on this many times, but I'm like, as long as you're doing something.
But you don't need to be at a gym. You could be at home. I'm talking about resistance training.
But home training is for the.
No, man. I think home training is just for whoever can't even get out the house.
Well, it's partly that, but there's also a second facet of it is that there's a lot of discipline required to be able to train by yourself in your home.
No, I agree. I agree with that. But I'm saying that I feel what may have changed. I don't know if COVID did this, but what may have changed in the last kind of 5 years is prior to lockdowns and COVID, people who trained at home were a special type, the garage warrior type. You're like, wow, you don't give a about anything, right? You're just getting it with whatever you got at home. That is a very DIY tough mentality.
Yeah.
But then I think post-COVID, people didn't have during COVID, people didn't have a fucking option. So like, shit, I got to just do some shit at home. And I think, people training online, people using fitness apps, people having online coaches, this became much bigger and the social aspect was removed and people still got some. They still did some push-ups.
Absolutely.
Did some shit.
But I do think it probably leveled back out after.
Maybe.
I think because we thought, right, gym's going to be quiet and shit. And Peloton, right, that was
it blew up.
They're we're doubling down on our investment.
Massive, yeah.
And then they plummeted because hang on a second, people have gone back to gyms. Shit.
Yeah.
But in any case, I'm just thinking, there's a case for some of those other things like say running, right? I'm like for me, I don't like doing cardio training.
Sure.
Right? So I could perceivably go, hey bro, I'm taking up playing football because I love playing football, played it my whole life, haven't done it for a long time, but I'm like, but that's a way that I'm going to go and do some cardio work in the guise of a sport. It is not the best way for me to go and do cardio, but it's the only way I'm going to do it.
All right. But what I'm saying is that's not going to help your jiu-jitsu. It won't help you. Not in the same way
it might help me a little bit.
No. You doing jiu-jitsu is going to help your specific. Endurance is specific, strength is specific. Even though you can have general strength and a general level of fitness, what I'm trying to frame this as is if you can only do one session a week outside of BJJ, your life is quite full. If you personally...
Strength training, for sure.
If you can. But why do I say this? It's not just because I'm a gym bro and I'm a meathead. I might be all those things as well, but it's because that thing will give you so much higher leverage than many other things. That's why I'm saying this. Also, you got to look at the downside of everything comes with a cost. If, for example, you were to take up running, that's also going to tighten up your Achilles. It's also going to tighten up your hip flexors. It's going to tighten up your hamstrings. It's going to leave your legs sore to a degree. It's going to do a bunch of stuff. Even though you're going to get benefits, there's also costs there. So if you already have tight calves and you already have tight hip flexors and all this, it's not necessarily going to move you forward to becoming more athletic, which is what I believe should be the goal of training to support jiu-jitsu. Not training to get pussy, not training to be social, not training just because you want to do it. It's not fitness. It is a regime or a structured thing you do to help you get better physically for BJJ. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree, right? If time is limited and you're like, what's the thing that's going to give me maximum return? Absolutely. Strength training.
Because, I guess, and you can, there'd be plenty of people who will disagree with me. You're f***ing idiots, no, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But what we can see now, which is becoming more and more prevalent in the media, is people talking about longevity who are not gym bros. They're like science heads and they're just podcast science people who are talking about how muscle mass and strength directly relates to decrease in all-cause mortality and decrease in rates of depression and, so many other things that give you benefits. And this is nothing I've manufactured. This is something I've known my entire career, that I go to the gym, I lift my weights, and I'm like, oh, I feel considerably better about the world. Not the high level of elation I get post jiu-jitsu, but it just makes the world more dealable. Having taken that time to lift those weights, I've connected with my body. I feel like I've made that little, not even progress, but I definitely feel like I haven't gone backwards. And that then opens me up to then move on to the next thing. So I think there's a whole bunch of other benefits that comes from doing resistance training, which isn't even benefiting your jiu-jitsu, but it gives you all these other benefits too, which supports your life. And so that's another argument for the weight training, resistance training piece.
JT and I talking about why strength is number one. And of course, you guys know that we are huge proponents of strength training for jiu-jitsu. If you feel stuck with what to do with your strength training for jiu-jitsu, we have you covered. All you need to do is go to the App Store on whichever device you use, search Bulletproof for BJJ and download our free app. You can start your 14-day free trial today. No credit card is needed to begin, and you can start training an intelligently designed strength and flexibility program specifically for you. And the best thing is you get coached directly by us. Jump into the App Store, Bulletproof for BJJ, and we'll see you on the inside. Yeah, I'm absolutely agreed. I do think though, on that specific benefit, you can get that from a lot of things, and I think that a lot of that's tied to just the gratification of you having done something that was challenging.
Nah. Everything like
I can guarantee that if you make me go run for 60 minutes, I'm going to struggle through it, and afterwards I'm going to feel better.
There's no satisfaction in my life greater than lifting weights. It's absolutely confirmation bias, but I know that nothing benefits my body better than lifting weights. My bones, my ligaments, my tendons, my muscles,
but that's two different points there.
No.
That is specifically, you made two different points. The first one you said is that your life is better. The way you perceive the world is better after lifting weights.
But that's also because I know how beneficial it is for me.
Right. Well, I'm saying that anyone can go and just do something, like do some training, something hard. Doesn't have to be weights, and they can feel that.
But
that's why people get addicted to the thing, right? Cycling or whatever.
But I know better because I know cycling's not that good for me. I know running's not
I'm
that
not
good for me.
derailing your whole conversation. I'm just saying with that specific point.
I hear you, and what I'm saying is if you know better, you would hope people would do better. And typically people don't know any better. They don't know that going for a run isn't as beneficial as them doing some squats and then also doing some deadlifts or doing some pull-ups. Like people are like, oh, it's all exercise, right? Like
fitness.
Yeah, it's fitness. Like it's the same thing, right? And it's actually not on so many different levels. And that's why I really wanted to make this point or get into this, because it's very much inherent in other sports like rugby, footy, whatever code of football you might, NFL, like doing weight training and being strong and robust is so important. Even when you look at track athletes who are not like, they're not bashing into other people, they all do their strength training. Every major athletic pursuit where you have to do something which requires you to be robust or fast or powerful, even without physical contact, they're lifting weights.
Yeah.
They're doing the thing, whether it's running on the track or doing the skills. Like there's always the skills, but they're in the gym. But what I see very commonly is jiu-jitsu folks, when they get spare time, they're not necessarily lifting weights. And I go, they've missed an opportunity, Joe. It's an opportunity to improve themselves on so many levels.
They have. They've dropped the ball, you could say.
I love that. Beautiful.
Nice.
So subtle. So, because I do ask people, like, what do you do when you're not doing jiu-jitsu? People are like, surf. Awesome. That's fun. It's a good time. I don't know if that is necessarily the thing that's going to help you get better at jiu-jitsu, but I guess not everyone thinks about using their spare time as obsessively as I do.
That's right. Well,
they're like, how can I?
Yeah, but that is also not like you didn't do a 200 kilogram back squat because your jiu-jitsu necessitated it.
No,
you like squatting.
100%. But I'm also I currently would say my goals have gone beyond what I already had what I needed for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but so I think to that point, people have a variety of interests, right?
Yeah, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you surf. And we're roughly the same size, I'll smash you. Because I spend every waking moment thinking about how to get stronger and how to smash you. And me being the strongest human you've ever rolled is going to factor into that. So it's unfair, right? But it's fair in so much that you could choose to do similar things to what I do, but you don't. And therefore you're going to be, you're really strong, bro. And I'll say, yes, thanks. Roll you never. Like, I think it's
you
one of these
might
things-
also enjoy your life more. So just
No, but
toss
I
up
love my life.
which is more important to
No,
you.
but here's the thing. I love my life.
Wow, that was just such a wanker thing that you said just then.
But I am a wanker.
I know, but that was just so arrogant, bro.
But I am sometimes.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, hate me. It's fine. But this is the thing. You are going to go to a gym and you're going to roll a wanker like me and they're going to you up because they obsessively think about getting better at jiu-jitsu and how to be a beast. And you don't. And this is a problem, especially if you're on the wrong end of the stick and you get injured because your structural integrity is compromised because you're doing something which isn't reinforcing it.
No, I feel like you're just putting off the people that might be like, yeah, I'm open to listen to this. And now like, this guy's a cock. I'm never going to the gym ever just because I hate this.
Well, okay, good luck to you. I mean, you don't have to have
JT's going to bash you.
No,
so there.
You don't have to have my attitude, right? I think this is the thing. I have my attitude.
Didn't you say something at the start of the episode about being moderate?
No,
or were you saying you've... No, that was you. Have you thrown that away? I thought you were saying, I've realized...
I'm going to come back around.
Being a bit more moderate is...
It's very boring. This is the thing. It's so hard. It's hard to listen to people be moderate. It's not sensational enough. But here's the thing. You don't have to have a hardcore attitude to be a strong person. You can have like Joe is a strong person, but he's also like much more moderate, much more accepting, all these things, but he still does strength training, right? And so it's like, you don't have to have a hardcore you attitude to be a strong person physically. You just got to put some time in. And it's really about prioritizing that. The problem is people don't see it as a big enough priority. It's only once you really suffer either an injury or you get beat the f out of by someone who's significantly stronger and more athletic than you that you go, oh my God, he must be on the juice. No, you go, oh, maybe I need to get stronger.
You got to not roll with that guy ever again.
Yeah, just leave that guy alone. Yeah, there's nothing to learn there other than get stronger. Strength is never a weakness and weakness is never a strength, my friends. Really, it's about making it accessible. And that's the thing. I think people are under the impression, I don't want to be in the gym 3 days a week and I don't want to get caught up in all that stuff. It's not actually that hard. I used to think that you had to train like that to be strong, but I've changed my mind. I've seen people get stronger training once a week, which confounded me because I'm like, there's no way. There's no way that someone can just train once a week and get stronger. But you can. You can. And it depends on the different types of strength training you're doing. But that's the thing. There's all these different ways for you to talk yourself out of doing it, but it's actually more accessible than it might appear. So I wanted to talk about how can we make it accessible to someone who doesn't lift, they don't strength train. Hopefully they're still paying attention at this point. I haven't completely turned them off the idea of being strong.
Well, the first thing I think is we need to tell them they're a piece of shit, and then you'll kick their ass if they don't listen to this.
Well,
I think that's a good approach.
That's the best way. I think that's the best way. That's the way podcasts should be, really. Make it accessible for people. Make it
I need to
relatable.
get that Instagram guy, rap name Fogey, to do a
Of
thing on
me?
you. Yeah. Why don't you just train 14 days a week? Why don't you start doing 7 days, 21 days a week?
Why do you even do BJJ? Why
you
don't
can
you
be-
just get super strong? And that's enough. In today's episode, we discuss the importance of strength. Strength is number one. And if strength is number one, I'll tell you what's number two, it's hydration. Because if you're dehydrated, you cannot be strong. You can't roll strong and you can't lift. And I'll tell you what, in order for you to be nicely hydrated, you need sodi. Sodi is a fantastic combination of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, all put together in a very nice little package so you can pour it in your drink bottle, get it in your system, roll strong, lift strong. And when you go to sodi.com.au, use the code Bulletproof15 for 15% off. Get yourself hydrated and stay strong. No, I think the thing that's the misunderstanding within jiu-jitsu culture is that in the same way in the past, if you did jiu-jitsu against someone who didn't train jiu-jitsu, that was very successful. You know, you could be really successful doing very basic jiu-jitsu against someone who didn't train BJJ. But now, so many people train BJJ. So it's not enough just to have the skills. You need to have certain athletic abilities behind it, not only just to be competitive or be good at it, but to just stay in the game. Like, look after your body. This is the thing. I mean, we've talked about it to death, but essentially connective tissues, the best way to get them strong is through resistance training exercises. you're not really going to make your connective tissues in your elbows, shoulders, back, hips, everywhere stronger over time by just doing endurance training work. Actually, over time, it's been shown that will probably break your body down more than build it up. And that's another argument for why we want to get people in the habit of strength training. So, making this shit accessible. Why? How are you going to get this in your life? Now, if you can only do something one day a week, like one session a week, amidst all the busyness of your life, what's that look like? The way I wanted to frame this is, let's say you've never done any kind of training ever. No weights, no gym, none of that. Where the hell are you going to start? Where would you start someone off, Joe, who's totally new to this whole thing?
What? So we got like 1 hour a week in one session to do some shit?
Around that.
I'd probably be doing, you'd want to make sure you're doing a push exercise, a pull, and then a squat and a hinge,
Sure.
right, to cover bases, and then you could throw in some core work, right? And then I would probably look at doing like a couple of little kind of supersets or triple sets, where it's like do your hinge, then do a push, then do a pull, then take a rest, do that 5 times, and then maybe then do a squat and then do another push and another pull, and something like kind of circuit, full body, but plenty of rest.
Yeah.
Not circuit in terms of like keep going until you're vomiting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like people have said, "Oh, CrossFit, that's got weights in it, right? They do Olympic lifts, like that's got body weight and stuff." I guess we've talked about CrossFit.
There's some good shit in there. There's plenty you don't need in there.
Yeah, there's also like a lot of intensity in there, which is kind of unnecessary. Like you actually don't need to go super intense in the gym to get strong, but you do need progressive overload. I think this is the thing. We've talked about it before, but it's the idea. The reason why having a structured program, however you start, and having it build up gradually over time, whether you're doing a few more reps, a few more sets, a little bit more weight, slightly different exercise, just building this up over time is super key, is so that you can keep improving. My only thing, well, there's a few reasons, but part of the reason why I'm not a huge fan of CrossFit as a form of doing resistance training, even though it features lots of resistance training exercises, is the intensity is just up into it's always harder. Like go harder, give your maximum.
Yeah.
And actually,
you already do that at Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Like you already redline there. So you definitely don't need to redline in the gym.
No. And actually it's what surprises me, because I'm the kind of redline kind of guy, because I find it exciting. But that's probably not the best approach to weight training. Going harder doesn't necessarily equate to getting stronger. Like going to failure, going to complete exhaustion is not actually necessarily the best way for you to get stronger. Yes, you want a right level of stimulus, but it's like the Morpheus, like red pill, blue pill. Like what if I told you could get stronger without going harder? Like, do you want the truth or do you want the illusion? Because sometimes it feels exciting. You're like, shit, I just want to post this shit on Instagram. And if I don't max out, it's not going to look really cool to post me doing my work in progress.
I post WIP shit all the time.
I know, it's because you're so moderate, Joe. It's so boring. That's why I can't look at your shit. No,
it's your 1 RMs that bring you out of Instagram retirement.
That's it. And they only happen. It only happens once a month.
It goes off period for like a couple of months, and then you do like 6 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because
JT's really gone hard.
I've been working on something. It's because that's my peak week. I've actually been able to achieve something.
But if we're talking to that person who can train once a week, that's probably not really a concern for them, right?
No, it's not. And the truth is, part of what made me think about this is like there's an Instagram handle which is called Sika Strength, Sika. These guys are Olympic lifting guys, strong guys. They started commenting about jiu-jitsu, which I found annoying because I don't know their jiu-jitsu pedigree, and they're speaking very generally. They're speaking very moderately, Joe, and very reasonably.
Cocksuckers.
They annoyed the shit out of me.
What can I take from that?
Oh, punch them in the throat. But they were saying some things which I didn't necessarily agree with, even though what they were saying is people who do jiu-jitsu need to do resistance training, which I did agree with. And they were like, the difficulty with, say, sandbag training, strongman training, because they were saying some people get really hooked up on that. Me. It's hard to progress. And that's the thing when you're early in the journey, trying to go from like a 40 kilo sandbag to a 60 kilo sandbag, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
It's hard for you to actually build.
It's not the ideal training tool for a total beginner.
No, but if you've got a barbell and you can put extra 5 kilos, you can work with that.
Yeah, perfect
it's way more controllable. And that's why a lot of people actually tend to go with machines. Like there's still a big trend of people using weight training machines because it's safer. Like they don't know how to lift a barbell.
There's very little skill component to machines.
You just put the weight up a bit, do a few more reps.
Push the thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to hate on machines, because if that's what you're doing to gradually build up strength in your connective tissues and your muscles, that's not a bad place to start if that's how you get started. But
Wow, what the just happened?
Joe, something's better than nothing.
Shit.
So I'm told.
Guys, I don't know what the going on. I'm going to have to start being an asshole though, because we need to restore some contrast to this.
Lie. Something is not better than nothing, but let's get back to it. I was going to say, they were talking about that they feel it's better to do barbell and dumbbell work, which I actually don't agree with, but bear with me. Stay with me, folks. Body weight, I feel, is actually a really good place to start because many people have not fully explored what they can do with their body. Like most people, if you actually get them to do proper form pull-ups or push-ups or dips, people really struggle there. And so there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in doing body weight. And most people have never thought to do a pistol squat or a modified single leg squat. They just think of doing squats on their 2 legs and they might not do them very great. They're like, oh, I can do 10.
Yeah.
So how is this getting me stronger? So I not that I feel like you only do body weight, but if you haven't done a certain amount of calisthenics or body weight exercises, there's a whole world of strength you can gain just from learning how to control your body. So that is, I find, a really good place for people to start in the strength training world. And also no money. Like it's free. It's not expensive. Yeah, it's a good place to start. Getting some hypertrophy work with some machines, that's not a bad place to go if you're a bit apprehensive about doing deadlifts because you heard some bullshit on the internet that's bad for you. It's not. But anything can be bad for you done incorrectly, right? Like deadlifts are a tool in the same way. If you use a machine incorrectly, you could hurt yourself potentially, And this is the difficulty, that the higher up you go in the chain with strength training, you need help, you need feedback, you need coaching. Same as jiu-jitsu, right? So that's why people tend to neglect it, because they don't want to look dumb or they're not sure where to go for advice because there's so much information on the internet. You're like, what's right, what's wrong? I definitely recommend, if you haven't done a good amount of strength training before and you're like, I know I need to get stronger, what am I going to do? Get a trainer, get a coach. Like I honestly believe it goes a long way. Like even right now, I've been in the gym, like 25 years, and I'm getting a guy to give me feedback about my deadlift technique and give me feedback about my squat because I want to understand how he thinks about it. And it's probably quite different to how I think about it. Or maybe we think similar things. Like I'm trying to get a different perspective because I'm trying to unlock what is the next level on what I can do. If I've done something the same way for 20 years, well, what could I do differently which would take me up a level? So if you've never done anything, I would definitely recommend that you go seek a good trainer or a coach. That's my take on what will help you in the strength realm.
Yeah, having guidance, I think, is key. It's the gym. Big gyms are filled with people who are directionless and really don't have much education around training, and not a criticism on them at all. It's like, if you aren't working in that, why would you know much about it? Who, are kind of wasting a lot of their time. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
Yeah.
And so, getting someone that's like, oh, hey, no, don't worry about that, but do this. It's like, holy shit, thanks. Like your effectiveness can just go through the roof.
And if you don't have much time, it definitely saves you that. Even though there's some cost involved, It's a real life hack. It saves you a lot of time. But once you've gone past the not past, but hypertrophy training, like building muscle, bodybuilding, as it's commonly referred to, like it can be very functional. It's not just, oh, I've got huge biceps and big pec muscles like Arnold or Christopher Bumstead, C-Bum, the 6-time Mr. Olympia champion for classic physique.
Just retired.
Bro, good on him. Legend. You may not be in it for
Never
trying
competed against me.
True. He was scared. He'd heard of you, Joe.
Yeah.
He knew that you were coming.
How can you say you're the best
when
you haven't competed against
we'll
everyone?
We'll get him on the podcast. We'll
Yeah.
see. I'll message him on Instagram
Yeah, that'd be good.
amongst his millions of fans and see what we can do to maybe line up a pose down between the two of you.
I like that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I think that's what the fans deserve.
that's what they need. Battle of the Titans.
Yeah.
CJI, super pose off. Once you've gotten a certain amount of kind of awareness and you can lift and you're doing once a week and you're thinking, oh man, maybe I would do a second day. What could I do here? Moving towards actual strength training, which is where you're reducing your repetitions. You're probably having a few more sets in there and you're working more towards your maximal strength. It doesn't mean you have to do a 1 rep max, but you're working more that kind of 3 to 5 repetition range, and it's hard. You're not getting muscle pump. This is really where the gains come in terms of your nervous system, motor recruitment, and
Your strength.
your strength. It's your ability to produce force production. And what the gentleman at Seeker Strength was saying, I actually don't know the individuals' names. It's like one of them, I think they're both from the UK. I actually couldn't pick the accents very well.
You're really propping these guys for a couple of folks that you're not that into.
No, well, I'm about to speak counter to what they were saying.
Oh, good one.
No, they're smart. They're smart dudes. They're strong. They're both very strong humans too, but they're very much of the Olympic lifting ilk. They're all about back squats, barbell stuff. Anything barbell, they swear by.
Yep.
It's rare that you see them talk about anything else because I think that's their field of reference and that's their expertise. That's what they know exceptionally well.
Yep.
And I think that the barbell as a tool is one of the, it's undeniable that it's one of the best tools to get you really strong. Deadlifts, back squats, all that shit, amazing. Olympic lifting, amazing set of skills. But if you are somebody who trains at home or you've got less tools and you can't afford multiple thousands of dollars for weight plates and barbells, you know what you could use? You could use a sandbag. And you can get really strong using a sandbag. Now, what they said, which I did not agree with, was they said, specific strength training doesn't cross over, like whether you play rugby or you do jiu-jitsu. And I said, bullshit. I call bullshit right there. Why do I say that, right? If you look at the grips that you make, the grip strength is specific, cardiovascular endurance is specific. Everything we do is specific if it involves a skill. So if you look at people who are sumo deadlifters, they will focus very specifically on the way to do a sumo deadlift. It is very different technically to a conventional deadlift. Now, some conventional lifters will say, that's lame, you guys suck, that's not great. But there's plenty of guys who do both, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a change in foot position. The grip might be similar, they might be doing hook grip, mixed grip, doesn't matter, right? But there is a change there. When you lift a sandbag or you lift a stone, if you look at the hand positions, they are much more akin to no-gi grappling than holding a barbell.
Yep.
You get strong lifting a sandbag or lifting a stone, I attest that it will cross over more specifically to your no-gi grappling. Now, not everybody has a garage. Some people live in an apartment. I live in an apartment. But the great thing about a sandbag is you could have it in your living room. It's not going to damage the floor. It's not going to break the tiles. Like it's one of those things you can train with at home. It's pretty easy to have, and you can get crazy strong just training with it once or twice a week. And that's the thing. I want to make the argument for you to get strong in a simple way. not a complex way, not a million sets and reps and complicated systems and partial repetitions. It's literally pick something up heavy in a certain way, do it a number of times. You do that consistently over weeks, it'll get lighter, you'll get stronger, and then you're just body slamming motherfuckers at jiu-jitsu. Like that's the simple equation, folks. That's really how it goes. You get stronger, gravity doesn't seem as tough. And you don't need to do a lot to actually achieve that. Is that so hard? Is that so sensational? Is that so weird?
No, I think that's fair, JT.
My God, Joe, look at you. In a quiet, resigned way, we've come to the end of this conversation and you kind of agree with me.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, you've settled on what your whole argument was by this stage of the conversation.
Just not abusing the listeners. No, I think the challenge is this. It is easier to get a pair of running shoes and just go running. It is, for sure. It's way easier. It is easier to just get some boxing gloves and have a bag and punch that, or go to a boxing fitness class with your friends, because there's a social aspect. There's a bit of a skill in there. Like it's fun. But that is not going to help your jiu-jitsu. That is the main thing I'm concerned with if you have very limited time. If you have way more time, do whatever the hell you want. It's your life. Please enjoy it to the best of your ability. But for sure, the thing that I dislike the most is being overpowered, smashed, and crushed by someone who's bigger and stronger than me. And you don't want to experience that, even though it's kind of inevitable. There was always going to be someone bigger and stronger. But if you can't control it, making yourself stronger not only gives you the benefit of being the bigger, stronger person, potentially. You don't even have to be bigger. You can be stronger than someone, not be bigger than them. But you get a whole bunch of health benefits too. So there is not as many pros to any other choice other than you lifting weights once and maybe twice a week. And therefore, that's what you got to do, folks. There it is. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. If you like this and you haven't been completely alienated by my ability to rant and abuse you down this microphone, please give us a like, a subscribe, and a 5-star rating on any audio platform. We appreciate y'all.